Her family mocked her at the wedding. Then her billionaire husband walked in. You really couldn't have done better than this, could you? The words sliced through Lily Bennett like shards of glass, delivered by her Aunt Miranda with the same tone she'd used to discuss spoiled milk. Lily's fingers trembled around her bouquet of grocery store daisies. Not because they weren't beautiful, but because she could feel 30 pairs of eyes cataloging every imperfection, every sign that she'd failed to meet their impossible standards. I mean, look around, Miranda continued, gesturing dismissively at the community center's modest decorations. Folding chairs? Paper tablecloths? And that dress, did you get it from a thrift store? Lily's wedding dress was simple, elegant, and cost 3 months of her teacher's salary. She'd loved it when she tried it on, had felt beautiful and radiant. Now, under her family's withering stares, it felt like burlap against her skin. The groom seems nice, her cousin Jennifer added with false sweetness, the word nice dripping with condescension. Very ordinary. What does he do again? Something with computers? He works in tech, Lily whispered, her voice barely audible above the cruel laughter that rippled through her relatives. Tech, Uncle Harold snorted. That's what they call it when they can't get a real job. Probably makes $30,000 a year fixing people's email problems. Lily's heart shattered a little more with each word. This was supposed to be her wedding day. The day she married Michael, the kindest man she'd ever met. The man who brought her coffee every morning, who listened to her stories about difficult students, who made her laugh until her sides ached. The man who'd proposed with a simple ring and tears in his eyes, telling her she was everything he'd ever dreamed of. But her family saw none of that. They saw only what he wasn't. Wealthy, connected, prestigious. They saw only what she wasn't. The daughter who'd married a senator, the niece who'd landed a Fortune 500 executive, the granddaughter who'd finally elevated the family name. Remember when we thought Lily might actually amount to something? Her grandmother's voice carried across the room with devastating clarity. All those scholarships, that fancy college degree. We thought she'd marry a doctor, at least. Maybe a lawyer. Instead, she's a public school teacher married to, what was his name again? Miranda stage whispered. Michael, Lily said, louder this time, finding a spark of defiance. His name is Michael, and he's absent, Jennifer interrupted with a smirk. Seriously, where is your husband? Did he get cold feet and run? Lily's eyes darted around the room, searching for Michael's familiar face. He'd stepped out 20 minutes ago to take a phone call, promising he'd be right back. Her chest tightened with a different kind of panic now, not from her family's cruelty, but from his absence when she needed him most. Maybe he finally realized what he was getting into, Uncle Harold chuckled. The Bennett family drama. Can't say I blame him. That's enough. Lily's voice cracked, but she forced herself to stand straighter. Michael is twice the man any of your husbands are. He's kind, he's brilliant, he's poor, Miranda finished. Lily, sweetie, love doesn't pay the bills. You're 28 years old. This was probably your last chance at a decent marriage, and you wasted it on some nobody with delusions of adequacy. The room erupted in laughter, the sound echoing off the community center's bare walls like breaking glass. Lily felt hot tears threatening to spill, but she refused to give them the satisfaction. She'd cried enough over their rejection through the years. Today was supposed to be different. You know what the saddest part is? Jennifer continued, emboldened by the crowd's reaction. She actually thinks she's happy. Look at her face. She still believes this is some kind of fairy tale. Lily's best friend Rachel appeared at her elbow, face flushed with anger. You people are monsters, she hissed. This is her wedding day. How dare you? Oh, the loyal friend, Miranda cooed mockingly. How sweet. Tell me, dear, what do you do for a living? Let me guess, another teacher? Another person who settled for mediocrity. Rachel's jaw clenched. I'm a nurse. I save lives. What do you do besides tear people down? I married well, Miranda replied smoothly. Something your friend here clearly never learned how to do. The community center's front door opened with a soft chime, but no one paid attention. They were too busy savaging Lily's choices, her life, her worth as a human being. The circle of relatives pressed closer, like vultures sensing weakness. I heard she had to beg him to propose, someone whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. I heard he's in debt up to his eyeballs. I heard they're living in a studio apartment. Each lie felt like a physical blow. Lily and Michael lived in a cozy one-bedroom apartment that they'd decorated together, hanging plants in the windows and filling the walls with photos of their adventures. It wasn't a mansion, but it was theirs. It was home. Where is he? Lily whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Her eyes found the exit, and for one wild moment she considered running. Just leaving this nightmare behind and finding Michael wherever he'd gone. Face it, Lily. Her grandmother's voice cut through the noise like a blade. You've always been the disappointment of this family. Your parents worked themselves to death trying to give you opportunities. And this is how you repay them? By throwing your life away on someone who can't even afford to give you a proper wedding. The mention of her parents, gone 3 years now in a car accident, nearly broke her. They'd loved Michael, had welcomed him into their tiny family with open arms. They'd been planning to dance at this wedding, to cry happy tears and embarrass her with sentimental speeches. My parents would have been proud of me today, Lily said, her voice stronger now, fueled by grief and love and desperate loyalty to the man she'd married. They loved Michael. They saw what you're all too cruel and shallow to see. What's that? Uncle Harold challenged. His sparkling personality? His big dreams? Newsflash, Lily, personality doesn't buy houses. Dreams don't put food on the table. Love doesn't pay for your parents' medical bills when they get sick, Miranda added with brutal precision. Ask me how I know. Lily's hands shook. She thought of Michael's gentle hands, his quiet strength, the way he'd held her when she cried about her parents. The way he'd proposed in their tiny kitchen, not because he couldn't afford somewhere fancy, but because that's where they'd shared their first breakfast together, where they'd had their first real conversation, where they'd fallen in love over burned toast and terrible coffee. He makes me happy, she whispered. Happiness is a luxury you can't afford, her grandmother replied coldly. You're not getting any younger, Lily. Your looks are already fading. What happens when he realizes he's settled for damaged goods? The words hit like physical blows, each one designed to destroy her self-worth, to make her question everything beautiful about her life. Lily felt herself crumbling under the weight of their collective disdain. The community center door opened again, this time with more force. Lily's heart leaped, hoping desperately to see Michael's familiar silhouette. Instead, she saw strangers, men in expensive suits with earpieces, their eyes scanning the room with professional intensity. What the hell? Uncle Harold muttered, his cruel commentary dying mid-sentence. Outside, the sound of car doors slamming echoed through the thin walls. Not just 1 or 2 doors, many doors. The kind of synchronized sound that suggested coordination, purpose, money. Lily's family fell silent for the first time all day, their attention drawn to the growing commotion beyond the community center's windows. Through the glass, Lily caught glimpses of black vehicles. Sleek, expensive, definitely not the kind of cars anyone in her family could afford. Lily. Rachel gripped her arm. What's happening? But Lily was staring at the door, her heart hammering against her ribs. Something was wrong. Or maybe, her chest fluttered with impossible hope, something was very, very right. The men in suits stepped aside, forming a pathway. And then, walking through that pathway with quiet confidence, came Michael. Except Michael looked different. He moved with a subtle authority Lily had never noticed before, his shoulders set with an unconscious power that made the room's atmosphere shift completely. Behind him, more figures appeared, assistants, she realized dimly, carrying tablets and phones, their movements crisp and professional. Michael's eyes found hers across the room, and the gentle love there was exactly the same as always. But there was something else now, something Lily couldn't quite name. Protection, maybe. Determination. The look of a man who'd heard enough. Sorry I'm late, sweetheart, he said softly, his voice carrying easily across the suddenly silent room. I had to take care of a few things. Lily's family stared, their mouths hanging open like landed fish. Miranda's hand had frozen halfway to her wine glass. Uncle Harold's smugness had evaporated completely. Michael walked to Lily's side, took her trembling hand in his steady one, and kissed her forehead with infinite tenderness. I hope I didn't miss anything important, he said, his eyes never leaving Lily's face even as his words were clearly directed at her family. Outside, engines hummed quietly. Expensive engines. Many of them. Lily felt the world tilting on its axis, reality reshaping itself around her like pieces of a puzzle finally clicking into place. The man she'd married, the man her family had spent the last hour destroying with their cruelty. He was still Michael. Still her Michael. But he was also, apparently, someone else entirely. Hey my friends, I hope you're doing well today. Drop a comment and let me know how you're feeling about this story so far and where you are watching from. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because the tension is only just starting to build and trust me, you are going to want to know how this goes. Michael, Lily's voice was barely a whisper, her eyes searching his familiar face for answers to questions she didn't know how to ask. What's happening? He squeezed her hand gently, but now that touch carried weight. The kind that came with power, with resources, with secrets that could reshape everything she thought she knew about her life. I think, Michael said, his voice carrying a new edge of steel, it's time we had an honest conversation with your family. Behind him, one of the suited men whispered something in Michael's ear. Lily caught fragments. Vehicles positioned. Security complete. Ready when you are, sir. Sir. They'd called her husband, her gentle, coffee-bringing husband, sir. Miranda found her voice first. Who are these people? Michael's smile was polite and absolutely terrifying in its controlled calm. Business associates. I wanted to make sure Lily's special day went off without any interruptions. Business associates? What kind of business? The kind that values treating people with dignity, Michael replied smoothly, his gaze sweeping across Lily's assembled relatives. Values that seemed to be in short supply here today. Lily felt like Alice tumbling down the rabbit hole. Every word Michael spoke was creating cracks in the reality she'd built around their relationship. 2 years of dating, and somehow she'd never suspected that the man who clipped grocery store coupons was connected to this kind of wealth. Michael, what's going on? Who are you? The pain that flashed across his face was immediate and devastating. I'm the same person I've always been. I'm the man who loves you more than anything in this world. His voice dropped to an intimate whisper. I'm the man who proposed to you in our kitchen because that's where I knew you loved me for exactly who I am, not what I have. But what you have is. Lily's eyes darted to the suited figures, to the expensive cars outside. How much? How rich are you? Michael looked like a man facing execution. Approximately 4.7 billion. The silence was deafening. Lily felt her knees buckle, and only Rachel's quick reflexes kept her upright. 4.7 billion. With a B. Billion. Miranda's voice cracked. Sterling, Lily said slowly, pieces clicking together. Your name is Sterling. Not Thompson. Michael winced. Michael Sterling Thompson. Thompson is my middle name. I started using it when I was 18 because I wanted to see if people could love me without knowing my family's wealth. So you decided to lie instead? I decided to be myself. The words exploded out of him. For the first time in my life, I got to be just Michael. Not the sterling heir, not the eligible bachelor. Just a man who loves a woman so much it physically hurts. Lily felt tears streaming down her cheeks. The man standing before her was Michael. She could see it in his eyes. But he was also a stranger whose life operated on a scale she couldn't comprehend. How long were you planning to keep this secret? Michael's face crumpled. I kept thinking I'd tell you, but every day with you was so perfect. I couldn't bear to risk losing that. You didn't trust me. I didn't trust the world. Lily, you're the only pure thing in my life. I would have done anything to protect that, including letting my family destroy me on our wedding day. Michael looked like she had physically struck him. I was handling it. The phone calls I've been taking? I was arranging for their mortgages to be paid off. All of them. I thought they'd be so grateful they'd apologize to you. Uncle Harold suddenly stepped forward. Did you say, our mortgages? All of them. Michael turned to face Lily's family with corporate authority. I did. Though given how you've treated my wife today, I'm reconsidering. The transformation was immediate and nauseating. Miranda's sneer disappeared, replaced by a sickly sweet smile. Jennifer's cruelty shifted into desperate charm. We were just having family fun, Miranda said quickly. We all love Lily dearly. Do you? Michael's voice was dangerously quiet. Because I listened to you call her a disappointment, a failure, damaged goods. Lily looked around at her assembled family, the same people who had made her feel small and inadequate her entire life. You know what the saddest part is? Lily said. I hoped today would be different. But it wasn't about me at all, was it? It was about what you could gain from my choices. She gestured to the obvious displays of wealth. And now that you know what Michael has, suddenly I'm not such a disappointment. Lily, that's not fair, her grandmother protested. Isn't it? 20 minutes ago you told me I was throwing my life away. What's changed except your understanding of Michael's bank balance? Michael stepped closer. We don't have to stay here. We can leave right now. Where would we go? Your world or mine? Because apparently, I don't even know the difference anymore. One of Michael's assistants approached. Sir, there are photographers gathering outside. We need to either disperse or control the narrative. Photographers? Lily spun around in panic. Michael, I'm a second-grade teacher. And you're telling me there are photographers outside because I married you. Anytime I make a public appearance, there's media interest. The full scope hit her. She wasn't just married to a rich man. She was married to someone whose wealth made him a public figure. Her quiet existence was gone forever. I need air, she gasped, pushing toward the exit. Outside, black SUVs lined the street like a motorcade. Photographers with telephoto lenses gathered at the perimeter. Lily Bennett, who had never been important enough for her family's respect, was now newsworthy enough for paparazzi. She sank onto the steps, finally letting herself cry. Not from her family's cruelty, but from grief for the simple life she'd thought she was building. Michael appeared beside her. I love you. That's the only truth that matters. But it changes how I feel about us, Lily whispered. I don't know what's real anymore. Was I some kind of experiment in normal life? No. I chose you because you make me laugh until my stomach hurts. Because when I'm with you, I'm the man I always wanted to be. I don't know how to be married to Michael Sterling. I only know how to love Michael Thompson. They're the same person. Are they? Because Michael Thompson would never have let me face their cruelty alone. The words hit their target. Michael's shoulders sagged. You're right. I failed you. I thought I was protecting what we had, but I was just protecting myself. Before she could respond, Marcus appeared. Sir, we have a situation. The media presence is growing. We need to make a decision. Lily looked up at this stranger who worked for her husband, who treated their crisis like a business problem. This was her life now. Strategic decisions about public perception. I need to talk to my family, Lily said, standing. Before this gets worse, I need to say what needs to be said. Back inside, her family waited with desperate alertness. People who had just realized they'd made a catastrophic error. There were some misunderstandings, Miranda began. No, Lily cut her off. There were no misunderstandings. You said exactly what you meant. The only thing that's changed is your understanding of what Michael has, not what I'm worth. She looked around the circle of relatives who had tormented her for years. You learned something about yourselves today. That your love is conditional. Your respect has a price tag. Your loyalty extends exactly as far as your personal benefit. We've always loved you, Miranda protested. Have you? Because love doesn't mock someone's wedding dress or call their marriage a mistake. Love doesn't make someone feel worthless on what should be the happiest day of their life. Uncle Harold stepped forward desperately. Lily, we can fix this. We're family. Are we? Because family doesn't treat each other the way you treated me today. She turned to Michael. Cancel whatever financial help you were planning to give them. Already done, Michael said without hesitation. The sharp intake of breath was audible. Miranda went white. I'm going to give you all a choice, Lily said quietly. You can think about what happened here. Consider what kind of people you want to be. And if you can honestly say you're sorry, not for missing out on Michael's money, but for hurting me, then maybe we can rebuild something. She looked around one final time. But understand this. I will never again allow anyone to make me feel small. I am worth more than that, and I'm done pretending otherwise. Are you ready to go home? Michael asked softly. Lily looked at him. This man who was both familiar and foreign. I don't know where home is anymore. Then we'll figure it out together. If you'll let me. Whatever came next, she would face it as the woman she had just discovered herself to be. Someone worth loving, worth respecting, worth protecting. Someone who would never again accept less than she deserved. The ride to Michael's penthouse passed in tense silence. The convoy of black SUVs moved through the city like a presidential motorcade, drawing stares from pedestrians who had no idea they were witnessing a woman's entire world reshaping itself in real time. Lily sat in bulletproof luxury, watching familiar streets transform into something alien. Everything looked the same, but she was seeing it through different eyes now. The eyes of someone who would never again walk these sidewalks without security, never again be anonymous. The penthouse has been prepared for your arrival, sir, Marcus said from the front seat. Security sweeps are complete. Penthouse. Lily turned to stare at Michael. What penthouse? Michael looked uncomfortable. I own a few properties in the city. I thought you might want somewhere more private to process everything. How many is a few? 7. But most are investment properties. 7. Lily felt that familiar sensation of the ground shifting. You own 7 properties in this city alone. The convoy pulled up to a gleaming skyscraper in the most expensive part of downtown. Lily had walked past this building dozens of times, always wondering what kind of people lived in such rarefied air. Now apparently, she was one of those people. The private elevator opened directly into the apartment, and Lily stepped into a space that belonged in architectural magazines. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic city view that took her breath away. "Do you like it?" Michael asked, uncertainty in his voice. "It's beautiful. It's also completely insane. Michael, the rent on this place probably costs more than I make in a year. I own it outright. That's not the point. I've been living in our tiny apartment, worrying about electric bills while you owned this. Our apartment is our home. This is just space. Our apartment has our life in it, our memories, our first fight, our first makeup." Despite everything, Lily's heart fluttered at the memory. "You laughed when I burned those pancakes so badly we had to eat cereal for breakfast. Because it was the most romantic breakfast I'd ever had. Because you were trying so hard to make me happy, and you were already everything I needed." Before Lily could respond, Marcus cleared his throat. "Sir, we have a situation. Your brother is en route. He's demanding to speak with you immediately." Michael's expression shifted into what Lily now recognized as his business mode. "Which brother?" "James, sir. He's agitated about the media coverage. His helicopter is landing on the roof in 10 minutes. "Helicopter." Lily sank onto the nearest chair. "Your brother has a helicopter. James has several helicopters, along with opinions about everything I do and the family name we share." "The family name? Sterling. Your family is famous, aren't they?" Lily pulled out her phone and typed Sterling family into Google. The search results made her stomach drop. "Oh my God. Michael, your family is like American aristocracy. Old money, political connections, business empires. Your grandfather was on Time magazine. Twice, actually. This isn't funny. I just married into the equivalent of royalty. People are going to expect me to know which fork to use and how to make small talk with senators." "Lily, breathe." "I can't breathe. I teach second grade. I drive a Honda Civic." She was pacing now. "Your family probably has a coat of arms." "We actually do, but... Oh God, what are they going to think of me when they find out you married someone so ordinary?" Michael's face darkened. "You are not ordinary. Don't ever let anyone make you feel like you're not extraordinary." The sound of rotor blades filled the air, growing louder. Lily felt her heart rate spike. "Sir," a security guard spoke into his radio. "Mr. James Sterling is not alone. He's brought media consultants and what appears to be a legal team." Michael cursed. "Of course he has. Media consultants?" Lily's voice cracked. "Why does he need those?" "Because James lives his life like a political campaign. And right now, my marriage to you is probably being seen as a public relations crisis." The implications hit Lily like a physical blow. She wasn't just Michael's wife. She was a problem to be solved, a scandal to be contained. "They're going to try to get rid of me. Over my dead body," Michael said fiercely, but Lily could see the worry in his eyes. The elevator chimed, and James Sterling stepped out like he owned the building, which Lily realized he probably partially did. He was unmistakably Michael's brother, but where Michael carried his power quietly, James wore his like armor. Behind him came a woman in a severe black dress carrying a tablet, a predatory-looking attorney, and another woman with the calculating expression of someone who made a living managing crises. "Michael," James said with authority that expected immediate compliance. "We need to talk." His gaze landed on Lily with laser precision, his expression shifting from curiosity to assessment to barely concealed dismay. "And you must be the bride," he said, his tone carefully neutral in a way that was more insulting than outright hostility. "Lily Bennett. Lily Sterling now, I suppose." "Yes. That's exactly what we need to discuss." The woman with the tablet stepped forward. "Mrs. Sterling, I'm Amanda Price from Crisis Communications International. We're here to help manage the media fallout from today's events." "Media fallout from Michael marrying beneath his station," Lily said with growing understanding. Amanda's silence spoke volumes. Michael moved protectively beside Lily. "James, whatever you're planning, the answer is no. You haven't heard what I'm planning. Though given the crisis you've created, I'd think you'd be grateful for professional help." "Crisis?" Lily's voice was small but steady. The attorney consulted his tablet. "Mrs. Sterling, in the past 4 hours, your wedding has been covered by 17 major outlets. The story is compelling because of the contrast between your backgrounds. The headlines are memorable." "Show her," James commanded. Amanda reluctantly turned her screen toward Lily. Tech billionaire's shocking bride. From classroom to penthouse, Sterling's secret wedding. Love or PR stunt? The teacher who landed a billionaire, fairy tale or gold digger? Each headline felt like a slap. Lily sank back into her chair. The narrative can be controlled, Amanda continued professionally. With the right strategy, we can reshape public perception. No, Lily said quietly. Mrs. Sterling, you married into a family that lives in the public eye. How you handle this will affect Michael's business interests and the Sterling family legacy. You mean the legacy I'm threatening just by existing? James stepped forward. Mr. Sterling, what were you thinking? A secret wedding? A community center? Did it occur to you that marrying someone completely outside our world might have consequences? Consequences like what? Michael's voice was dangerous. Like stock prices fluctuating based on investor confidence in your judgment. Like competitors questioning your decision-making. Like family foundations wondering if you're still the responsible leader they've trusted with billions. Lily felt each word like a physical blow. She was a liability, a risk, a mistake that needed management. The board is meeting tomorrow, the attorney added quietly. Emergency session. There are concerns about leadership stability. Michael went very still. What kind of concerns? The kind that question whether someone who keeps secrets this significant can be trusted to run multiple corporations. Lily watched Michael's face change as he realized the scope. This wasn't just about their marriage. It was about his life's work, his companies, his identity as a business leader. You're threatening a coup, Michael said quietly. I'm trying to prevent one. A secret marriage to someone with no connections, no social standing. It looks impulsive at best, deceptive at worst. Lily stood slowly. What if I leave? The room fell silent. Michael spun to stare at her in horror. What if I leave? She repeated, looking directly at James. Would that solve your board problem? It would help, James admitted. A quiet annulment, mutual recognition that the marriage was premature, would allow everyone to move forward. Maya, don't listen to him. But he's right, isn't he? Lily looked around the room at the crisis management team. I am a public relations problem. I am proof that you made an impulsive decision that calls your judgment into question. You are the woman I love, Michael said desperately. And loving me could destroy your life's work. Could cost 40,000 people their jobs if your companies fail because investors lose confidence. The weight of those jobs settled on her shoulders. She wasn't just responsible for her own happiness. She was responsible for families and mortgages and dreams that could all be destroyed by her selfish desire to hold on to love. I need time to think, she said quietly. I need to understand what I've gotten myself into before I make decisions that affect so many people. James nodded approvingly. That's very mature. Perhaps we could arrange for you to stay somewhere quiet. No, Michael said sharply. Don't let them manipulate you. Don't let them make you feel like our marriage is a mistake. Lily looked around one more time, at the luxury that would never feel like home, at the consultants treating her love like a problem, at the man she'd married, who was both everything she'd wanted and a complete stranger. I need to go somewhere I can think clearly, away from all this. Where will you go? Michael asked desperately. Lily considered the question. Where could she go? Back to their apartment, which now felt like a lie. To Rachel's place? To her family, who had already shown their true colors. I don't know, but I need to figure out who Lily Sterling is before I can decide if she can survive in your world. She walked to the elevator, her wedding dress trailing behind her. Michael followed, desperation palpable. Lily, please. Don't leave like this. Don't let them win. She turned to look at him one last time. This isn't about winning or losing, Michael. This is about whether two people from completely different worlds can build a life together without destroying everything they both care about. I love you more than any of this. More than the money, the companies, the family expectations. I know, Lily whispered as the doors began to close. That's what makes this so impossible. As the elevator carried her away from Michael's world of penthouses and crisis management, Lily Sterling faced the hardest truth. Sometimes love wasn't enough to bridge the gap between who you were and who you needed to become to survive in someone else's world. The question now was whether she was strong enough to find out who she really was when stripped of everything she thought she knew about her life, her marriage, and her future. Lily sat in the back of the taxi, still wearing her wedding dress, watching the city blur past through rain-streaked windows. She'd given the driver Rachel's address because it was the only place she could think of to go, the only person who might offer sanctuary without judgment or agenda. Her phone buzzed constantly. Text messages, missed calls, voicemails. She'd turned it face down, unable to deal with whatever desperate pleas were being directed her way. Rachel answered her door in pajamas, took one look at Lily's tear-stained face, and immediately pulled her inside. Jesus, Lily. What happened after that insanity at the community center? Lily sank onto Rachel's familiar couch. After the stark perfection of Michael's penthouse, it felt like coming home. She told Rachel everything. Michael's true identity, the penthouse, James and his crisis management team, the media coverage, the threats to Michael's business empire. So let me get this straight, Rachel said when Lily finished. You married a billionaire who's been pretending to be a regular guy. His family thinks you're a scandal. The media is having a field day, and his brother is threatening a corporate coup unless you disappear. That's about the size of it. Lily, that's fucked up on so many levels. But mostly the fact that Michael let you walk into that nightmare with your family while he knew he could have stopped it with a phone call. Lily had been trying not to think about that particular betrayal. He said he was protecting what we had. Bullshit. He was protecting himself from your reaction, from the complications, from having to deal with your family knowing about his money. Before Lily could respond, her phone began ringing. Michael's name appeared on the screen. Don't answer it, Rachel said immediately. Not until you've figured out what you want to say. Lily let it go to voicemail, but it started ringing again immediately. On the fourth call, Rachel grabbed the phone. Michael? Yeah, she's here. No, she doesn't want to talk to you right now. Because you fucked up, that's why. Oh, you're sorry? Great. That fixes everything. She listened for a moment. Look, Lily needs time to think. Real time, without you or your family pressuring her. So back off. She hung up and turned the phone off. The worst part, Lily said quietly, is that I still love him. After everything, I still love him. Of course you do. But love isn't enough if you can't build a life together. They sat in silence, drinking coffee and watching rain streak down the windows. Lily tried to imagine what Michael was doing, probably pacing his penthouse, fielding calls from his brother, dealing with board meetings and crisis strategies. There's something else, Lily said eventually. The way his brother talked about me, the way those consultants looked at me. They see me as a problem to be solved. Not a person, but a crisis that threatens their business interests. So what if they're right? What if I really am unsuited for Michael's world? What if trying to make this marriage work ends up destroying everything he's built? Rachel stared at her. Lily, please tell me you're not seriously considering leaving him because his asshole brother thinks you're not good enough. It's not about being good enough. It's about compatibility. I teach second grade. I worry about grocery budgets. Michael owns companies that affect 40,000 jobs. So what? So what happens when he gets tired of pretending to live a normal life? What happens when he realizes he gave up champagne and charity galas for grocery store wine and Netflix nights? Her phone, still in Rachel's possession, began buzzing with text messages. Rachel glanced at it and frowned. You've got messages from numbers I don't recognize. A lot of them. She scrolled through notifications. Lily, some of these are from reporters. Reporters? How did they get my number? Rachel continued scrolling. There are also messages from your family. My family? What do they want? Rachel read aloud. Lily, this is Uncle Harold. We need to talk about what happened today. There are opportunities here for all of us if we handle this right. More messages scrolled by. Relatives who had spent the day tearing Lily apart, now reaching out with sudden urgency. Cousins she hadn't heard from in years asking to meet. Family friends expressing concern that felt more like fishing expeditions. It's starting, Lily whispered. Everyone I know is going to want something from me now. Not everyone. I don't want anything from you except for you to be happy. But you're the exception. Everyone else. Lily thought about her colleagues at school, her neighbors, the casual acquaintances who made up her normal life. How many relationships would become complicated by knowledge of what she'd married into? Rachel's phone began ringing. She glanced at the screen and frowned. I don't recognize this number. Don't answer it. But Rachel was already swiping to accept. Hello? Who is this? Her expression shifted to wariness. No, she's not available for comment. How did you get this number? Never mind, don't call again. She hung up and stared at Lily. That was a reporter. She wanted to know if you were staying here, if you'd left Michael. They found you? How? Social media, probably. Pictures from your engagement party. Rachel moved toward her windows, peering through the blinds. Lily, there's a van parked across the street that wasn't there before. Lily joined her at the window. A white van with tinted windows sat under the streetlight, equipment visible through the windshield. This is a nightmare. Rachel, I'm so sorry. I didn't think. It's not your fault. But Lily, you can't stay here. If they've found me, they'll find everyone you know. Your co-workers, your friends, maybe even your students' families. The thought of her second graders being caught up in this media circus made Lily feel physically sick. Those children trusted her, looked up to her. Their parents had welcomed her into their community. I have to disappear, Lily said quietly. At least until this dies down. Where will you go? Lily had no idea. Hotels would require credit cards that could be tracked. Friends and family were obviously compromised. She had nowhere to run that wouldn't drag innocent people into the spotlight. Her phone rang again. This time, Michael's name appeared alongside a photo from their engagement. Both of them laughing, carefree, unaware of the storm coming. Answer it, Rachel said quietly. You need to talk to him eventually. Lily accepted the call with shaking hands. Michael? Lily, thank God. Are you okay? I've been so worried. I'm fine. Well, I'm not fine, but I'm safe. She could hear the exhaustion in his voice. Michael, there are reporters calling me. They found Rachel somehow. I know. I'm so sorry. Marcus is working on it, trying to trace how they got your information. I don't want your people working on my problems. I don't want to be someone who needs crisis management. Lily, please. Just let me help you. Let me protect you from this. Protect me? Michael, you created this. Your secrecy, your lies, your decision to marry me without warning me what I was getting into. The silence stretched long enough that Lily wondered if he'd hung up. You're right, Michael said finally. You're absolutely right. I fucked up so badly, I don't know how to fix it. Maya felt tears threatening again. The defeat in his voice hit her harder than his earlier desperation. I don't know if you can fix it. Even if we work through the trust issues, we still have to deal with your world. Your family, your business interests, the media attention. Then don't be the wife of Michael Sterling. Be the wife of Michael Thompson. Be exactly who you've always been. But Michael Thompson was a lie, wasn't he? The Real owns companies and influences stock markets, and has brothers who arrive by helicopter. Lily could hear voices in the background. Michael's world demanding his attention even during their marriage crisis. I have to go, Michael said reluctantly. The board meeting was moved up to tonight. Emergency session. Lily, whatever happens, whatever they decide, you are more important to me than any of it. Michael, wait. What do you mean, whatever they decide? But he'd already hung up, leaving Lily with the distinct impression that the consequences of their marriage were about to get much worse. Rachel appeared with a laptop. Lily, you need to see this. The screen showed a financial news website with Michael's photo prominently displayed. Sterling tech stock plummets as leadership questions mount. It's down 18% since this afternoon, Rachel said quietly. There are articles questioning Michael's judgment, speculating about hostile takeovers. Lily stared at the screen, watching Michael's stock price continue to fall. Each percentage point represented millions in value, thousands of jobs, families who had no idea their futures were being decided by her marriage drama. How many people did he say work for his companies? 40,000. 40,000 people whose jobs depend on Michael maintaining control. 40,000 families whose livelihoods are threatened because Michael Sterling secretly married a schoolteacher. Maya stared at the screen. I have to end this. What do you mean? I have to remove myself from the equation. If Michael's leadership is being questioned because he married me, then the solution is obvious. Lily, no. You can't let them force you out of your own marriage. Can I? How many innocent people should suffer because I want to hold on to a relationship that was built on lies? Before Rachel could answer, Lily's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Mrs. Sterling, this is Amanda Price from Crisis Communications International. We have a proposal that could resolve this situation quickly and quietly. Please call me at your earliest convenience. Lily stared at the message, understanding exactly what kind of proposal Amanda had in mind. A quiet annulment, a mutual recognition that the marriage had been a mistake, a carefully managed separation that would restore Michael's reputation. It would be the smart thing to do, the selfless thing, the rational solution to an impossible situation. It would also mean giving up the only love that had ever made her feel complete. What would you do? She asked quietly. Rachel was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. But whatever you decide, it should be your choice. Not Michael's family's choice, not the board's choice. Yours. Lily nodded, but she wasn't sure she believed it anymore. When your choices affected 40,000 jobs and the life's work of the man you loved, did you really have the luxury of choosing based on your own happiness? Outside, the rain continued to fall, and Lily Sterling sat in her friend's small apartment, weighing the cost of love against the price of consequences, wondering if there was any path forward that didn't require someone to sacrifice everything they cared about. The crisis management team had a proposal. Michael's board was meeting to question his leadership. The media was painting her as either a gold digger or a fairy tale princess. And somewhere across the city, the man she'd married was fighting for his life's work, while she tried to decide whether saving him meant destroying herself, or whether saving herself meant destroying him. The phone in her hand felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds, and Lily realized that the most important decision of her life would have to be made not in passion or love, but in the cold calculus of damage control and acceptable losses. The fairy tale was over. Now came the reckoning. Lily stared at Amanda Price's text message for what felt like hours. Finally, with Rachel watching anxiously, she dialed the number. Mrs. Sterling. Amanda's voice was crisp even at nearly midnight. Thank you for calling. I know this has been overwhelming. What's your proposal? Lily asked, too tired for pleasantries. It's straightforward. A mutual recognition that today's marriage was premature. Both parties cite irreconcilable differences discovered after the ceremony. Very amicable, very mature. Lily felt her heart crack. An annulment. Legally, yes. Publicly, we'd position it as two people who realized they moved too quickly. You maintain your dignity, Michael's business reputation is restored, everyone moves forward. And what do I get? Besides losing my husband? Amanda's pause was calculating. A very generous settlement. Enough to ensure you never worry about money again. Complete privacy protection. We'd ensure no outlet ever bothers you again. Maya closed her eyes. A gilded cage, perfectly secure. All she had to do was walk away from the only love that had ever made her feel whole. How much time do I have? The board meeting is happening now. If we can have your answer by morning, we can begin damage control immediately. Lily hung up and immediately called Michael. It went straight to voicemail. He was probably still in the emergency board meeting. Michael, it's me. Call me when you can. I need to know what's happening. I need to know if there's any way to save this without one of us sacrificing everything. She set the phone down and looked at Rachel. They offered me money to disappear. And you're considering it. Lily didn't answer immediately. Rachel, what if this is the right thing? What if walking away is the only way to fix what Michael's secrecy broke? Or what if that's exactly what his family wants you to think? Before Lily could respond, her phone rang. Not Michael. A number she didn't recognize. Lily. The voice was unfamiliar but warm, with a slight accent. This is Elena Sterling. Michael's sister. Lily's grip tightened. She'd heard about Elena but never met her. Michael had always deflected questions about family. I know you don't know me, but there are things you need to understand about what's really happening tonight. I'm listening. First, can you get somewhere secure? Somewhere we can talk without being overheard. Lily looked around Rachel's apartment, suddenly feeling exposed. I don't know. There are reporters outside. I know. I'm actually parked down the street. Lily, I'm going to tell you something that changes everything about the choice you're facing. What do you mean? The board meeting isn't what it seems. James didn't call it because he's concerned about the family business. He called it because he's been planning a hostile takeover for months, and your marriage gave him the perfect excuse. Lily felt the blood drain from her face. What? James has been building a coalition of board members who think Michael is too idealistic, too focused on employee welfare instead of pure profit. They want someone more ruthless in charge. But James is Michael's brother. James is someone who's been jealous of Michael since birth. Michael was always the brilliant one, the one who built something meaningful. James inherited his position and has resented Michael's success for years. Lily sank deeper into Rachel's couch. So the marriage isn't really the issue? The marriage is a convenient excuse. James would have found another reason eventually. Your wedding just gave him the opening he needed. Elena, why are you telling me this? Because Michael loves you. I've never seen my brother happy before he met you. And because if James takes over Michael's companies, 40,000 jobs really will be at risk. James will gut the workforce, eliminate benefits. Michael's been protecting those people. Maya felt the ground shifting again, but this time in a different direction. You're saying that if I walk away to save Michael's reputation, I'm actually playing into James's hands. Exactly. If you disappear quietly, James gets to claim that Michael's judgment is so compromised he married and divorced someone within 24 hours. The board will vote him out. Lily's phone beeped with another call. Michael's name appeared. Elena, I have to take the call. But Lily, Michael is about to ask you to sacrifice yourself to save his company. He doesn't know about James's real plan. Don't let him do it. Lily switched calls with her head spinning. Michael? Lily. His voice was rough with exhaustion and defeat. The meeting just ended. What happened? They gave me an ultimatum. Either I step down as CEO and distance myself from the controversy, or they hold a formal vote of no confidence tomorrow. Lily's heart sank. Michael, what did you tell them? I told them I need until morning to consider their options. Lily, I think maybe we should consider Amanda's proposal. If we end this quietly, maybe we can protect everyone who depends on these companies. Michael, no. Listen to me. I love you more than anything, but I can't be responsible for destroying 40,000 jobs because I was too selfish to tell you the truth. Lily felt tears streaming down her face. Even now, Michael was trying to protect her by making the sacrifice himself. What if I told you that stepping down won't save those jobs? What do you mean? Lily repeated everything Elena had told her. She watched Michael's worldview crumble through the silence. James has been planning this for months. Michael's voice was hollow. According to Elena, yes. Your marriage to me was just the excuse he needed. That calculating son of a bitch. He used our wedding as a weapon against his own brother. Michael, what does this mean? For us, for the company. It means we're fighting the wrong battle. It means running away won't save anyone. It will just hand James exactly what he wants. Maya took a shaky breath. So what do? We fight. Together. Michael's voice was getting stronger. Lily, I know I have no right to ask this after everything I've put you through. But I need to ask anyway. Ask what? Will you help me save my company? Will you help me protect those jobs? Will you stand with me against James and everyone who thinks they can destroy us? Lily looked around Rachel's apartment, at the simple life she was being asked to abandon forever. Through the window, she could see the media van waiting to document whatever decision she made. Michael, if I do this, there's no going back. I'll never be Lily Bennett, the teacher, again. I'll always be Lily Sterling, the billionaire's wife. I know, and I'm asking you to give up everything safe and familiar because I was too much of a coward to trust you with my truth. Lily closed her eyes, thinking about her students, her quiet life, her carefully constructed world. Then she thought about Michael, about 40,000 families, about James Sterling's calculating cruelty. Maya, Michael's voice was barely a whisper. What do you say? Rachel was watching her with understanding and support, ready to accept whatever choice her friend made. Outside, the media waited to document the next chapter. I say, Lily said, her voice getting stronger, that James Sterling seriously underestimated the woman his brother married. Does that mean? It means I love you, Michael Sterling. It means I'm tired of other people making decisions about my life. And it means that if James wants a fight, he's about to get one from someone who has absolutely nothing left to lose. The relief in Michael's voice was palpable. Lily, I love you so much. Save it. You can tell me how much you love me after we figure out how to destroy your brother's corporate coup. Do you have any ideas? Lily looked at her phone, at the dozens of missed calls from reporters, from family members, from people suddenly desperate for her attention. Actually, I might. Michael, what if instead of hiding from the media attention, we used it? What if we controlled the narrative instead of letting James manage the story? What do you mean? I mean, what if the schoolteacher who married the billionaire had something to say about corporate takeovers and worker protections? What if Lily Sterling turned out to be someone James never saw coming? Michael was quiet for a moment. Lily, that's brilliant. But it would mean putting yourself directly in the line of fire. Media interviews, public scrutiny. Michael, 12 hours ago your family mocked me for being ordinary, for never amounting to anything significant. Maybe it's time I showed them what ordinary people can do when they're pushed too far. Are you sure? Once we start this, there's no backing down. Lily thought about her students, about the way they looked at her with trust, about the lessons she taught them about standing up to bullies. I've spent my career teaching children that they have the power to change the world if they're brave enough to try. Maybe it's time I took my own advice. So we do this together? We do this together. But Michael, I need one thing first. Anything. No more secrets. If we're partners in this, we're equal partners. I need to know everything, about your business, your family, the threats we're facing. Everything, Michael agreed immediately. No more secrets. Good. Now, where do we start? We start by calling a press conference. It's time the world met the real Lily Sterling. Lily looked out the window at the media van, at the reporters who had been hunting her all day. Tomorrow, she would face them on her own terms, with her own story. Rachel, she said to her friend, how do you feel about being part of a corporate revolution? Rachel grinned. I thought you'd never ask. Lily Bennett, Lily Sterling, was done running, done hiding, done letting other people decide what she was worth. James Sterling wanted a battle? He was about to discover that sometimes the most dangerous opponent was the one who had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The fairy tale was over, but the real story was just beginning. And this time, Lily was going to write her own ending. The press conference was scheduled for 10 a.m. at Sterling Industries headquarters. Neutral ground that would force James to watch his sister-in-law take control of the narrative from his own building. Lily had barely slept, spending the night with Michael's communications team preparing talking points and learning crash courses in corporate structure. But at 8:47 a.m., 13 minutes before Lily was supposed to leave Rachel's apartment for the most important performance of her life, Elena called with news that changed everything. Lily, we have a problem. James moved faster than we anticipated. He called an emergency board vote for 9 a.m., 1 hour before your press conference. Lily was standing in front of Rachel's bathroom mirror, trying to steady her hands enough to apply lipstick. She'd borrowed one of Rachel's business suits, navy blue, conservative, meant to project competence. She felt like she was wearing a costume. Can he do that? Technically, yes. He has authority as board chairman to call emergency sessions if he can demonstrate imminent threat to company stability. And our marriage qualifies? According to his legal brief, yes. They're arguing that Michael's deception about the marriage constitutes a crisis of leadership requiring immediate action. Lily sank onto Rachel's couch. So they're voting Michael out before I can tell our side. It gets worse. James leaked selective details from Michael's personal life to the financial press this morning. Private information, taken out of context, designed to make Michael look unstable. What kind of information? His therapy sessions after your parents died. His struggles with anxiety. The fact that he's been on antidepressants. Elena's voice was tight with anger. James violated medical privacy to paint Michael as mentally unstable. Lily felt rage building in her chest. He used Michael's mental health treatment against him? That's not even the worst part. James also leaked information about you. Your family's financial struggles, your parents' medical debt, your student loans. He's painting you as a gold digger who targeted Michael during a vulnerable period. The room seemed to spin. Her private pain, her family's struggles, Michael's most vulnerable moments, all weaponized by someone who was supposed to love them. Elena, can't we stop this? Lily, listen carefully. The board vote is happening in 45 minutes. Even if Michael rushes over, James has the votes. The decision is made. This meeting is just theater. Maya closed her eyes. So we lost. Not necessarily. There's something James doesn't know. Michael isn't just CEO, he's also majority shareholder. James can remove him from operational control, but he can't strip him of ownership. And as majority shareholder, Michael can call a shareholder meeting to override board decisions. What does that mean? It means we have a nuclear option. David can force a public vote by all shareholders. If we can make the case that James's takeover is motivated by greed rather than sound business judgment, the shareholders might side with Michael. What would that require? Everything we've been planning, but bigger. Not just a press conference, but a full media campaign. Not just telling your story, but exposing James's real motivations. Lily looked around Rachel's apartment, at the simple life she was about to abandon forever. I want to destroy James Sterling. I want to expose him for the manipulative sociopath he is. Are you sure? Because once we escalate to this level, there's no going back. James will come after you personally. Your family, your friends, your past, nothing will be off limits. Lily thought about her students, about Michael sitting in a conference room watching his life's work get stolen, about 40,000 families whose futures hung in the balance. Elena, James already went after my family and friends. The only difference is now I'm going to fight back. For the next 20 minutes, Elena walked Lily through James's vulnerabilities. His pattern of hostile takeovers, his personal financial problems hidden behind corporate expenses, his history of leaked information and privacy violations. The key is to paint him as a pattern predator who targets family members and business partners. This isn't about one disagreement. It's about a man who destroys people for personal gain. At 9:55 a.m., Lily walked into Sterling Industries' lobby with Rachel at her side and Elena waiting by the elevators. The main conference room had been converted into a media center, with cameras from every major outlet. Lily had expected to be nervous. Instead, she felt calm, focused, ready. This was her moment to speak for everyone who had ever been underestimated or destroyed by people who believed power made them untouchable. "Mrs. Sterling," a reporter called out, "can you comment on allegations about your financial motivations?" Lily walked to the podium, looked directly into the camera, and smiled with the confidence of someone who had nothing left to lose. "Yes, I can comment on a lot of things." The room fell silent. "My name is Lily Sterling, and until yesterday, I was a second-grade teacher living in a one-bedroom apartment, driving a 12-year-old car. Today, I'm here to tell you about corporate greed, family betrayal, and what happens when powerful men think they can destroy women who refuse to be silent." She paused, letting the words sink in. 3 hours ago, James Sterling used illegally obtained medical records and private financial information to paint both me and my husband as unstable and opportunistic. He violated doctor-patient confidentiality and orchestrated a corporate coup disguised as concern for business stability. The reporters were typing furiously, but Lily wasn't done. "What James Sterling doesn't want you to know is that this hostile takeover has nothing to do with my marriage and everything to do with a years-long pattern of targeting ethical leaders who prioritize worker welfare over maximum profit." She pulled out the folder Elena had prepared. "James Sterling has spent years systematically destroying companies that prioritize employee benefits and community investment. Every time he gains control, worker benefits are slashed and production is moved offshore. The good news," Lily continued, looking directly into the main camera, "is that the narrative can be controlled by telling the truth. James Sterling thinks he can destroy my marriage and steal my husband's company because I'm nobody important." She leaned into the microphone, her voice carrying absolute conviction. "He's about to learn that the most dangerous opponent is someone who has nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. James Sterling wanted a war? He's got one." As the room exploded into chaos, Lily's phone buzzed with texts. "From Michael, the board voted me out. James is CEO effective immediately. But Lily, what you just did, you just gave us the ammunition we need to destroy him." From Elena, "James just called an emergency legal meeting. He's panicking." From Marcus, "Ma'am, I've never seen anything like that. The entire building is talking about it. You've got them scared." Lily looked around the chaos she'd created, at the reporters scrambling to verify her claims, at the cameras broadcasting her accusations nationally. She'd just declared war on one of the most powerful families in America. But as Elena approached with a satisfied smile, Lily knew she'd found her weapon. She'd become the story. "Maya, that was incredible," Rachel said, grinning. "No," Lily said, watching expensive suits rush past in the hallway, James's people probably, scrambling to contain the damage. "I just became the person who's going to bring James Sterling down." Outside the conference room, Lily could see the machinery of crisis management spinning into overdrive. In a few hours, James would launch his counterattack. They would dig into every aspect of her life, attack her credibility, try to paint her as everything she'd just accused them of being. But Lily no longer cared. She'd found her voice, used it to speak truth to power, and turned herself into someone her students could be proud of. Someone who stood up to bullies regardless of the cost. The war for Michael's company was just beginning, but Lily Sterling was no longer afraid. She discovered that the moment you stop caring what people think and start caring about what's right, you become unstoppable. James Sterling had wanted to destroy a schoolteacher who didn't know her place. Instead, he'd created a warrior who was about to teach him exactly what happened when you underestimated the wrong woman. The darkest descent wasn't over. It was about to get much worse. But Lily was ready for whatever came next, because she'd finally found the person she was meant to be. Someone worth fighting for, and someone who would never stop fighting back. Lily's press conference had been live for exactly 47 minutes when James Sterling's response began. It started with a single phone call, a calm, professional voice informing Lily that her teaching contract had been reviewed due to recent media attention, and that the school district felt it would be best for all parties if she took immediate leave. "They fired me?" Lily stared at her phone in disbelief. Rachel, monitoring social media on her laptop, looked up with growing alarm. "Lily, it's not just your job. Look at this. The screen showed a coordinated media campaign already in full swing. Professional headshots of Lily from the school website paired with brutal headlines. Gold digger teacher abandons students for billionaire. From classroom to greed, the real Lily Bennett story. How is this possible? My press conference was an hour ago. Elena appeared in the doorway, face grim. James had a response team ready. He knew you'd eventually fight back, so he prepared a counter-narrative. She handed Lily a tablet. It gets worse. The screen displayed testimonials from Lily's own family, Uncle Harold, Miranda, even her grandmother, all expressing concern about Lily's mental state and suggesting her accusations were signs of emotional instability. Lily has always been the dramatic one, Miranda was quoted saying. We're worried the stress of marrying above her station has affected her judgment. These accusations are clearly coming from someone overwhelmed and lashing out. Lily felt like she'd been physically struck. They're using my own family against me. Classic corporate warfare. Isolate the target, destroy credibility, turn their support system against them. Before Lily could process the full betrayal, Michael burst through the door, fury and desperation on his face. Lily, we have to stop this. Now! Stop what? James isn't just attacking you professionally. He's going after everyone you care about. Michael's hands shook. Your principal received calls questioning whether someone with poor judgment should be around children. Rachel's nursing license is being reviewed. 3 of your teacher friends have been asked to distance themselves publicly. Lily sank onto the couch. James wasn't just destroying her credibility. He was systematically targeting everyone in her life, making her toxic to anyone who tried to support her. He's isolating me completely. It's designed to force you into dependence on Michael, then offer the same deal. Disappear quietly and everyone goes back to normal, Elena confirmed. Rachel slammed her laptop shut. How is this legal? Technically it's not. But by the time we prove defamation, the damage is done. James is banking on us not sustaining a long legal fight. Lily's phone began ringing. Her principal, the woman who had hired her, mentored her, supported her through her parents' death. Lily, Dr. Martinez's voice was strained. I personally don't believe any of this. But the school board is meeting this afternoon, and parents are demanding your removal. There are reporters calling parents at home, asking about your interactions with their children. Maya felt her world crumbling. The thought of her 7-year-old students being questioned by reporters made her physically ill. They're using children, she whispered after hanging up. Lily, Michael said desperately, this is my fault. James is doing this because of me. Please let me fix this. How? I can make it stop. Right now. I can call James, accept his terms, step away from everything. If I publicly acknowledge our marriage was a mistake and seek help for my emotional instability, he'll call off the attacks. Lily stared at him. And what happens to you? I lose the companies, but James will probably keep me as a consultant. Face saving. And the 40,000 jobs. His voice broke. Maybe some survive. Michael, you know that's not true. Maybe it's not about what's true anymore. Maybe it's about what we can live with. But Lily wasn't listening anymore. She was thinking about her students, about 7-year-old Emma who struggled with reading, about Marcus whose parents worked 2 jobs, about children whose lives were being disrupted because adults were using them as ammunition. I have to end this, she said quietly. Lily, no, Michael started. Not by running away. By finishing what I started. Maya stood up, feeling new confidence flow through her. Not desperate determination, but calm certainty of someone who had found their true purpose. I'm not going to defend myself against James's accusations. I'm not going to try to prove I'm not a gold digger. Maya, what are you saying? I'm saying this was never about me or our marriage or even your company. This is about power and who gets to wield it, and what happens when ordinary people stand up to bullies who think they're untouchable. Lily grabbed her phone and started scrolling through contacts. What are you doing? I'm calling every reporter who contacted me. I'm calling the parents of my students, not to defend myself, but to warn them about what James Sterling does to families who get in his way. I'm calling every teachers' union in the state, every nurses' association, every group that protects working people from exactly this kind of corporate intimidation. Elena's eyes widened with understanding. Lily, you're not just fighting for Michael's company anymore. You're making this about workers' rights, about protecting ordinary people from billionaire bullies. Exactly. James wanted to isolate me by attacking everyone I care about. Instead, He just created an army of people who now have personal reasons to hate him. Michael looked stunned. Lily, this is incredibly dangerous. You're talking about escalating to a level where James will use everything he has to destroy you. Michael, he's already doing that. The difference is now I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man James Sterling really is. Lily's phone started ringing, reporters calling back, sensing a bigger story. The first rule of teaching is that you never let bullies win, because they never stop with just one victim. She answered the call, putting it on speaker. This is Lily Sterling. But first, I want to talk about what happens when a billionaire decides that 7-year-old children are acceptable collateral damage in a corporate takeover. As Lily began detailing James's attacks on innocent people, she could see the strategic brilliance of what she was doing. James had given her the perfect narrative. Not complicated corporate politics, but a simple story of a powerful man attacking children and teachers to steal his brother's company. It was a story every parent would understand. Every teacher would relate to. Every working person would recognize as their nightmare scenario. But even as Maya spoke with growing confidence, she could see the cost in Michael's eyes. They weren't just fighting for his company anymore. They were waging war against one of America's most powerful families, with the entire country watching. James Sterling was about to respond with everything he had. The battle Lily was starting would consume everything in its path, including possibly the love that had started it all. The impossible choice was no longer between fighting and running. It was between winning everything or losing everything, with no middle ground left. Lily Sterling had just declared total war. Now she had to be prepared to pay the ultimate price for victory, even if that price turned out to be the very relationship she was fighting to save. The phone interview continued, but Lily's eyes found Michael's across the room. In his expression, she saw love, pride, terror, and the growing realization that the woman he'd married was transforming into someone powerful enough to either save them both or destroy them in the process. There was no going back now. The impossible choice had been made, and its consequences would reshape not just their lives, but the lives of everyone caught in the crossfire of what was about to become the most public corporate battle in recent memory. Lily had found her power. The question now was whether that power would be enough to defeat James Sterling, or whether it would consume everything she was fighting to protect. The shareholders' meeting that would determine the fate of Michael's empire was set for 2 p.m. on Friday, exactly 1 week after Lily had walked down the aisle, completely unaware she was about to become the most talked-about woman in America. In 7 days since her declaration of war against James Sterling, Lily's story had exploded into a national phenomenon. Teachers' unions from across the country had endorsed her. Parents' groups organized protests outside Sterling Industries. Working families had turned Lily into a symbol of resistance against billionaire bullying. But James hadn't been idle either. Lily sat in the law offices of Sterling Industries' biggest competitor, surrounded by evidence Elena had gathered, documentation of James's corporate raids, financial irregularities, and the human cost of his business practices. The room buzzed with lawyers, communications specialists, and financial analysts preparing for the most watched shareholders meeting in corporate history. Lily, Elena said, approaching with a tablet, you need to see this. The screen showed the latest news coverage, but instead of the supportive narrative Lily had been building, she saw something that made her blood run cold. Sterling marriage fraud exposed. Secret recordings reveal gold digger plot. Lily felt the ground shifting. What recordings? Elena's face was grim. James somehow got recordings of private conversations between you and Michael. They've been edited and taken out of context, but... She handed Lily earbuds. Lily's own voice filled her ears, crystal clear and damning. I need to know what you're worth, Michael. I need to know what marrying you means for my future. Lily's stomach dropped. She remembered that conversation, 3 months ago, when they were discussing marriage, and she'd been worried about their financial compatibility, about affording a wedding, about whether Michael could support them if she got sick. It had been responsible planning, but edited and stripped of context. It sounded exactly like a gold digger calculating her target's worth. There's more, Elena said quietly. Another clip. If I do this, if I marry you, I need to know it's going to change my life forever. I need guarantees. Lily remembered this too. She'd been talking about emotional guarantees, about Michael's commitment. But without context, it sounded like business negotiation. James bugged our apartment, Lily whispered. Or your phones. He's been recording you for months, all edited to support his narrative that this marriage was a calculated con job. Lily felt everything she'd built crumbling. The teachers who had supported her, the parents who had seen her as integrity's symbol, the working families who had rallied to her cause. How many would still believe her? This changes everything. If people think I really was after Michael's money. Lily, listen to me. Michael appeared in the doorway, face set with determination. It doesn't matter what people think. It matters what's true. And the truth is James just committed multiple felonies to create this narrative. But the damage is exactly what we're going to use to destroy him once and for all. Lily, James just made the biggest mistake of his life. He didn't just attack you, he committed federal crimes to do it. Lily looked between Michael and Elena. You mean we can have him arrested? We mean we can do better. James is so desperate to discredit you that he just handed us proof of criminal behavior. But more importantly, he proved exactly what you've been saying about him. What do you mean? Michael paced with the energy of someone who had finally seen victory. Think about it. James spent months illegally recording private conversations between married people in their own home. He violated laws, ethics, and basic human decency to steal personal moments and weaponize them. Understanding dawned. He proved that he's exactly the kind of person who would threaten children and teachers. Exactly. In trying to destroy you, James demonstrated to the world that he's a man with no boundaries, no ethics, no respect for privacy or human dignity. Elena pulled up another screen. Look at the response to these recordings. Yes, some people are questioning your motives. But far more are outraged that James Sterling was spying on newlyweds in their home. Lily scanned the social media feeds. Hashtag Sterling Spy Scandal and hashtag illegal recordings were trending ahead of hashtag GoldDiggerGate. People were posting about privacy concerns, about violation of trust between family members, about the lengths billionaires would go to destroy ordinary people. People are angrier about the spying than the edited conversations. Much angrier. Because everyone can imagine themselves in your position, having their most private moments stolen and used against them. Before Lily could respond, Marcus burst through the door. Ma'am, sir, you need to see this. He handed Michael a tablet showing live news feeds from Sterling Industries headquarters. The building was surrounded by protesters, not dozens but thousands. Teachers holding signs reading, "Stop corporate bullying." Parents with banners saying, "Our privacy matters." Workers chanting, "No more secret recordings." How many people? Lily asked in amazement. Last count was approaching 10,000, still arriving. Ma'am, you've become something bigger than a corporate scandal. You've become a symbol of everyone who's ever been spied on, attacked by people with more power. Lily stared at the screen, watching ordinary people, teachers, parents, nurses, office workers, standing in the rain holding signs with her name. These weren't paid protesters. These were working people who had seen something in her story that reflected their own fears and hopes. Michael, she said quietly, I think I understand what I'm supposed to do at this shareholders' meeting. What's that? Lily stood up, feeling calm certainty flow through her. Not desperate determination, but the confidence of someone who had found their true purpose. I'm not going to defend myself against James's accusations. I'm not going to explain away those recordings. Lily, what are you saying? I'm saying this was never really about me or our marriage or even your company. This is about power, and who gets to wield it, and what happens when ordinary people stand up to bullies who think they're untouchable. Maya walked to the window, looking out at the city where thousands of people were standing in the rain to support someone they'd never met. James Sterling made me famous because he wanted to destroy me. But fame is just power, and I'm about to use that power for something he never saw coming. Which is, I'm going to use this shareholders' meeting to make James Sterling the face of everything working people hate about billionaire bullies. I'm going to make him defend not just his business practices, but his character, his methods, his willingness to spy on his own family. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through messages from supporters, from reporters, from ordinary people sharing their own stories of being intimidated by powerful employers. And I'm going to do it by telling the truth. All of it. About Michael's deception, about my own mistakes, about the complexity of love and money. But most importantly, about what James Sterling is willing to do to innocent people to get what he wants. Michael stared at her with approaching awe. Lily, you're talking about turning a shareholders' meeting into a public trial of James's character. No, I'm talking about turning it into a moment when ordinary people realize they have more power than they think. When working families understand they don't have to accept being spied on, threatened, or intimidated by people who think money makes them untouchable. Elena was grinning. Lily, you're not just going to beat James at his own game. You're going to change the rules entirely. Exactly. James wanted to make this about my credibility, my worthiness, my right to exist in his world. But I'm going to make it about his methods, his ethics, and whether shareholders want to be represented by someone who commits crimes to destroy his own family. Lily looked around the room at her army, Michael, who had finally learned to trust her completely, Elena, who had chosen justice over family loyalty, Marcus, who had shown that corporate employees could choose the right side. The recordings James released? They don't show a gold digger. They show a woman having normal conversations about building a life together. The real scandal is that James Sterling was listening to those conversations in the first place. Her phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. Lily, I'm watching coverage from the hospital. You've got thousands of people supporting you. Nurses, doctors, patients. You've become something bigger than any of us imagined. James Kellner wanted to destroy me because he thought I was nobody important. But nobody important doesn't get 10,000 people to stand in the rain for them. Lily gathered her materials for the shareholders' meeting, hands steady and voice clear. James is about to learn that the most dangerous opponent isn't someone with more money or power. The most dangerous opponent is someone who has nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. Someone who has learned that their worth isn't determined by other people's opinions, but by their willingness to stand up for what's right. As they prepared to leave for the meeting that would determine not just Michael's company, but the meaning of Lily's transformation, she knew that whatever happened, she had already won the most important victory. She had discovered who she really was when everything else was stripped away. And that person was someone powerful enough to take on the world. The climactic revelation wasn't just about exposing James's crimes. It was about Lily revealing herself as someone who could harness the power of ordinary people's anger and turn it into a force for justice. James Sterling had wanted to destroy a schoolteacher who didn't know her place. Instead, he'd created a leader who was about to teach him exactly what happened when you underestimated the wrong woman. As they walked toward the most watched corporate battle in recent memory, Lily Sterling knew she was ready for whatever came next. She'd found her voice, her power, and her purpose. Now it was time to use all three to change the world. The Sterling Industries shareholders' meeting had been moved to the city's largest convention center to accommodate unprecedented attendance. Lily stood backstage, looking through the curtain at an auditorium filled with shareholders, reporters, protesters with observer passes, and television cameras broadcasting live to millions worldwide. 1 week ago, she had been a second-grade teacher worried about her grocery budget. Today, she was about to address the most watched corporate gathering in American history. You ready for this? Michael asked, appearing at her side. He looked different, not just the expensive suit his team had insisted on, but something in his eyes. The guilt and desperation had been replaced by fierce pride and unwavering certainty. I'm ready, Lily said, and meant it. Elena rushed over with final updates. James just finished his presentation. He spent 20 minutes defending the recordings as necessary corporate intelligence and insisting you're a manipulative gold digger who deceived his emotionally unstable brother. How did the shareholders respond? Dead silence. When James tried to justify spying on his own family as business necessity, you could hear people shifting uncomfortably. He's lost them. Marcus appeared with Lily's microphone, his professional composure cracked by excitement. Ma'am, the live stream has over 50 million viewers. This isn't just corporate news, this is history. Lily nodded, feeling the weight of all those eyes, all those expectations, all those people who had seen something in her story that reflected their own struggles. Michael, she said, turning to face her husband, before I go out there, I need to say something. What's that? I forgive you. For the lies, the secrecy, the deception. I understand now why you were afraid. But more than that, I'm grateful. Grateful? Lily smiled, the same warm smile that had made Michael fall in love with her, but now carrying depths of strength that hadn't existed a week earlier. If you had told me who you really were from the beginning, I would have been Lily Sterling, the billionaire's wife. I would have changed myself to fit your world, abandoned my identity to become what I thought you needed. She gestured toward the auditorium. But because you let me fall in love with Michael Thompson, I got to become Lily Sterling, the teacher who refused to be silenced. I got to discover who I really am when everything else is stripped away. And that person is someone I'm proud to be. Michael's eyes filled with tears. Lily, you saved my company, my life's work, 40,000 jobs. We saved them together. But more than that, we saved each other. You saved me from seeking other people's approval. I saved you from hiding who you really are. The auditorium's audio system crackled. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lily Sterling. Lily walked onto the stage to thunderous applause. The auditorium was on its feet, shareholders, reporters, protesters, even some of James's board members. She looked out at the sea of faces, at the cameras broadcasting globally, at the moment that would define not just her future, but the futures of countless people who had never imagined a second-grade teacher could take on a billionaire and win. "Thank you," she said simply. "Please sit down." The applause continued for nearly 2 minutes before the crowd settled. Lily looked directly into the main camera, speaking not to the shareholders, but to millions of ordinary people watching. "My name is Lily Sterling, and 1 week ago, I was nobody special. I was a teacher who worried about her electric bill, drove a car older than some of my students, and never imagined my life could affect anyone beyond my classroom." She paused, letting the words settle. "Today, I'm standing here because James Sterling made a fundamental mistake. He believed that power comes from money, from intimidation, from destroying people who oppose you. But real power comes from something completely different." She gestured toward the filled auditorium. "Real power comes from the moment when ordinary people realize they're not as powerless as they've been told. It comes from teachers and nurses and parents standing up and saying, 'We will not be spied on. We will not be threatened. We will not allow our children to be used as weapons in your corporate games.'" The applause began again, but Lily held up a hand. "James Sterling spent this morning trying to convince you I married Michael for money, that I'm a gold digger who manipulated a vulnerable man. He played recordings of private conversations obtained through illegal surveillance of our home." Her voice hardened. "But here's what those recordings really prove. That James Sterling will spy on his own family, violate federal privacy laws, and commit multiple felonies to maintain control over a company that was never really his." She turned to look directly at James, sitting in the front row with his legal team, his face a mask of barely controlled fury. "James, you wanted to destroy me because you thought I was nobody important. You were wrong. I am important. Not because I married your brother, not because I have money now, but because I represent everyone you've tried to silence." She turned back to the cameras. "I am every teacher who's been told they don't understand the real world. I am every nurse threatened for speaking up. I am every parent told to stay quiet when powerful people harm their children. I am every worker told they're expendable when corporate profits are at stake." The auditorium had gone silent, thousands hanging on every word. James Sterling believes ordinary people should be grateful for scraps from the wealthy. He believes we should accept being spied on, lied to, and discarded when convenient. Lily's voice rose with conviction. "But we are not powerless. We are not voiceless. We are not invisible. And we will not be silenced by men who think money makes them untouchable." She looked directly at the shareholders. "You have a choice today. You can choose a leader who spies on his own family and commits crimes to destroy opposition. You can choose someone who will gut worker protections and offshore jobs for quarterly profits." She paused, letting the implications sink in. "Or you can choose a company that treats employees like human beings, that prioritizes long-term stability over short-term gains, that builds communities instead of destroying them." She gestured toward Michael. "Michael Sterling built these companies to prove that business success and ethical behavior aren't mutually exclusive. Under his leadership, these companies have never had layoffs, provide industry-leading benefits, and invest billions in their communities." Looking into the main camera one final time, her voice carried absolute conviction. "To the millions watching this, remember, you have more power than you realize. Every purchase you make, every company you support, every vote you cast is a choice about the kind of world you want to live in." Her voice softened but remained strong. "You can choose businesses that treat workers with dignity. You can choose leaders who don't spy on families or threaten children to win corporate battles. You can choose a world where ordinary people like me, like you, matter as much as the wealthy and powerful." She smiled, the same genuine warmth that had captivated Michael 2 years ago. "James Sterling thought he could destroy me because I was nobody special. But here's what he didn't understand. We are all somebody special. Every teacher, every nurse, every parent, every worker has value that can't be measured in stock prices." Looking out at the thousands who had come to support her, at the cameras broadcasting worldwide, at the husband who had learned to trust her completely, Lily felt complete. "Today we proved that bullies can be beaten. That ordinary people can defeat extraordinary wealth when they stand together. That love, truth, and courage are more powerful than money, intimidation, and fear. The shareholders' vote was unanimous. 847 votes for Michael Sterling as CEO, 3 votes for James Sterling, with 12 abstentions from board members too stunned to participate. James Sterling left through a back exit, flanked by federal agents with warrants for illegal surveillance, fraud, and privacy violations. 6 months later, Lily stood in her office at the Sterling Foundation for Educational Excellence, looking out at the city she had helped transform. The foundation provided resources and legal protection for teachers facing retaliation. It had already helped over 200 educators and was expanding nationally. "Mrs. Sterling?" Her assistant knocked. "Your 3 o'clock is here." Lily smiled. She had kept her teaching certification and spent mornings in classrooms, but her primary work was using her platform to protect other educators. She had discovered her greatest gift was teaching adults they didn't have to accept being powerless. The visitor was a young teacher from Arizona whose principal had threatened her job for speaking out about inadequate supplies. She looked nervous, overwhelmed, exactly like Lily had felt when she thought she was powerless. "Mrs. Sterling, I don't know if you can help me, but I heard about your foundation. You thought maybe someone who understands what it's like to be threatened by people with more power might be willing to help," Lily finished gently. "You're absolutely right." As Lily began discussing legal options and community organizing with the young teacher, she thought about the lesson she'd learned. Real transformation doesn't happen when you get what you want. It happens when you discover you're capable of becoming someone you never imagined you could be. Her phone buzzed with a text from Michael. "Dinner tonight? I have something to celebrate. Sterling Tech just announced our biggest hiring expansion ever, and the board approved the new worker protection policies you suggested. I love you, Mrs. Sterling. All of you." Lily smiled, typing back. "I love you too, Mr. Sterling. See you at home." Home was still their original 1-bedroom apartment, though they'd kept the penthouse for official functions. Lily had learned you could have both worlds. You just had to be strong enough to define yourself instead of letting others define you. Outside her window, Lily could see protesters gathering for a rally supporting teachers' rights in 3 states threatening education funding. Many carried signs with her picture and quotes from her shareholders' meeting speech. Lily Sterling, the nobody special who had become somebody powerful, looked out at people fighting for dignity and recognition, and knew the most important lesson she could ever teach had nothing to do with reading or math. The most important lesson was that ordinary people, when they refuse to accept being powerless, can change the world. And sometimes, if they're very lucky, they can fall in love with someone who becomes powerless right alongside them, and together build something extraordinary from the ashes of their separate, smaller lives. The fairy tale was over. The real story, messier, more complicated, more meaningful, would continue for the rest of her life. And Lily Sterling, formerly Lily Bennett, formerly nobody special, couldn't wait to see what happened next. What did this story teach you about the power of standing up to bullies, even when they seem impossibly powerful? What did it show you about finding your voice when others try to silence you? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more stories that will change how you see the world. Because every person watching this has the potential to be the next Lily Sterling, the next ordinary person who refuses to stay silent when it matters most.